negotiate. Well, that's where you would likely need someone from Ujo to negotiate it, but you could very well.
Basically, you can define the things, the parameters you want, and anyone who wants to use it now knows that information. So if they use it in a TV show or something like that, they have a source to go to that they know is trustworthy. They use the platform.
Yeah, so it's a way, if you're a music supervisor and you wanted to access a specific song for a specific TV show, right now you have someone at a publishing company who's kind of handling those relationships and administering the copyright of the artist. That's the deal that I have with BMG, is an admin deal, where I retain ownership of my copyright, but I pay them a percentage to go out there and shop that song out. Which does provide a tremendous value to myself, because then I don't have to spend time contacting music supervisors and finding people to use my music in NBC or CBS or for whatever purpose. Now, a publishing company could use something like Ujo or something like Jack that would get the artists paid more instantly.
So for example, they want to use it in a TV show, for example. They would try to access the file and go like, oh, I have to pay $200. Now normally, he says that the publishers and stuff like that go on and like talk to everybody. Then when they go to the publisher and then eventually filter down to the artist. Rather, in this system, it could go directly to the artist and the percentage would be taken out immediately to the publisher. So now the artist can actually have some sort of negotiation and kind of use people and pay people for their services. Rather than having to go through these other bodies and filter down to them. They are now more in control. They can define the terms. Does that make sense, right? Like instead of publisher, or they use the music, publisher, label, artist, it'll just be the TV show wants to use it, cool, it goes to the artist, and with smart contracts, defining by the percentage, they can be cut off to the other people respectively. So if an artist doesn't like the publisher anymore, they can just change some things, and now they can use someone else. And they'll be getting that money from then on.
Question?
Yeah, that sounds really interesting to me, but you're saying like if you don't like the publisher. But what I was thinking was like, what if you don't like the TV show or something? If I as an artist wrote a song and then like some, white supremacist documentary decides they want to license my music, so they go to the smart contract and then they license it, and I'm like, great, I just got paid, and it's like, oops, it's the KKK that paid me.
Well, actually, that's interesting.
Artists
Well, my publishing company, I'm signed to two. There's another in the UK called Full Thoughts, and they manage my Lost Midas catalog. And it's my original artist's music, so we have an agreement in a contract that says in order for any music to be synced with any kind of visual, I need to approve that.
Yeah. So that.
Now I could be a hash on a blockchain that is encrypted, that the smart contract could say only if this hash and this hash and this hash, all of the people who wrote that song, if by consensus we all agree and we give up our address, only under those circumstances can that song be used for that purpose. So if 2/3 agree and the contract is like, well, all three people who wrote the song have to agree for its usage, then you're out of luck. And that actually solves a lot of problems too, because nowadays that song could still get placed. I mean, that happens with like presidential campaigns all the time, where music gets placed with someone.
Yeah, I remember it was Muse and like, what was it?
It's kind of a big deal. Like some artists don't want to be affiliated with some political people for obvious reasons. There's no way really to stop that now. This would help to prevent that from happening.
And that would depend on the platform that gets created. So he gave an
correct.
example of where the artist decided like, we're going to use this smart contract with the rules like 3 out of 5 of us have to approve it. So when a white supremacist person wants to use it, that gets basically broadcasted to the 5 artists, and they could either reject or accept it. They can even delegate someone else to do it. So maybe they want the publisher to handle that, right? They have a relationship and like, Mr. Publisher, I really don't want these kind of things. And the publisher has the ability to reject or allow that. Yeah. But then all the artists will also know that it got approved or not. Sure. So if it did go on some sort of person, they go, who approved it? They go to the ledger and go like, oh, Sam from publishing company A allowed it, and now you have a person to kind of complain to.
Yeah, and that offers transparency that right now doesn't exist. So through BMG, my experience writing music for them, I might find out from a friend Like, oh hey, by the way, I heard your song in this TV show. I'm like, oh, cool, I guess. Like, I don't even find out what gets placed in what show, by whom, until I receive my statement a year later. Now I might get, I do have a nice relationship there with my production manager. He's awesome. And he'll send me an email like, oh hey, by the way, you know, I was checking the logs and I saw that you have placements in some TV shows. Sweet. But he did that as a courtesy. Whereas I feel like, wouldn't this be great? If I'm an artist, don't I want to know where my music is being played?
And he can get it immediately. He just have to, like, imagine an app, he's walking around, you just get like notifications.
Right.
Yeah.
My placements.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of looking at it, yes, no, no.
Yeah.
That money
It's
gets
like approving friends or whatever. It's
Exactly.
like-
It becomes into like a Tinder type.
I was just imagining some like gigantic system where you wouldn't be possibly able to approve every
No,
like,
no. So that's what I meant about delegating. So like the publishers and stuff like do provide a service, but now the artist has control as to who they want to do that, and the money can get filtered, get sent to them directly, and then they get everything second. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Versus
think
it's the other way around.
I think the big pain point is the amount of time that it takes to get paid. It's absurd. It's crazy. Is anyone else in here in the music industry or a songwriter and can speak to that? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
It took 6 months for my band to get a check for a song that was recently,
See?
and we had so many expenses from paying like someone to come down and master the track. We were in a very expensive recording studio making the song for the movie, and then it took 6 months to get the production.
Yeah. Which is absurd. And I think that another obvious reason why artists need to get paid not only more money but more instantly is because of the amount of overhead that it costs to make a quality sounding recording. Now the barrier to entry these days is a laptop and Ableton or Logic. It's certainly not a multi-million-dollar analog recording studio as was the case 30 years ago. But still, the equipment can add up. Microphones aren't cheap. A good microphone is $3,200.
And we can probably move on to the next slide too.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So there we go. So music royalties can be administered instantly. I think it's pretty obvious now.
And if someone makes a streaming service and say they pay by listen, it can go directly to the artist immediately, versus having to wait like for Spotify that logs it, that goes to the PRO, and then goes, it becomes a
Oh, is that how it goes?
Yeah,
Spotify?
there's like 5 people in between
Interesting.
the artist and
I don't get paid for Spotify. I get paid every 6 months.
Wow.
So how it kind of works traditionally is that you get accounted from January to June, right? And then there's a 90-day grace period
Okay.
where the accounting happens.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'm not getting paid until September
Okay.
for a song that was released last year.
That answers my question because I was going to ask, okay, currently with Spotify and all the streaming services, right? Since they are all digital, it should be possible for an artist like, once someone is listening to your song, right? You should know, okay, how many play times you had in a day for a particular song.
Yeah. And they do have it. It basically just gets filtered down. So like Spotify can send it to like the label and whoever has negotiated, and then they do their work and they have all their backlog, and then they do it again and again, and just eventually gets down to the artist.
And the rates that artists get per stream differ. There's no flat rate for an artist. So let's
Depending on the
say
negotiation skills of the label or whatever.
exactly, or the buying power, how much money, how much influence they have over Spotify. It's like the relationship that Spotify has with the labels is contentious, such that they're hugging each other, but they each have daggers, like just waiting for the wrong move. And that's kind of how the relationship is. Some companies, I would say Ujo is putting a line in the sand and say, we're trying to build something new from scratch. Like, let's not worry about these 45 or 50 million songs living in our repository. We're gonna build something new where we don't have to deal with the legacy. So, for example, like a major label like Universal could negotiate a higher streaming rate for someone like Drake because they know that a lot of people are going to stream a Drake song. Whereas a smaller artist like me may get an okay rate because I have a label that's been around for 15 years. But an independent artist, like, you're going to make 0.000 whatever it is per stream. Question?
Yeah, so to administer it instantaneously, don't you have to work with like Spotify? Because is that through the smart contract?
It will depend. So like you as an artist can define like your terms, and they can interact with you on an individual basis where you can either approve or deny the request. So like you can, I don't know, we're just going to imagine it now, where you define like I'm willing to accept, you know, half a cent per listen, and someone at Spotify goes, well, I'll give you 0.4, and you can either approve or deny, and go like 1.5. And if you approve it, then they can access your copyright, all your music, and you can like, do what else.
Gotcha. So that's like the hurdle there. You have to work with those streaming services.
Yeah, and again, this depending on the app that gets created, it can be delegated to someone else if you feel comfortable like you want to deal with that, right?
Gotcha.
So you move from label A to like Universal or something like that. Then you just give permission to Universal to have access to your copyrights and has permissions to do whatever it is that they do. And now they can negotiate for you, right? And they will take a cut. But that's all going to be transparent to you, and you can know exactly what's going to happen. They can't lie to you. They can't approve something that you don't want. They can't say like, oh, it was actually 3 cents, and you can say like, no, it's actually 5. You know, they can't fuck around.
Right.
Now it's worth noting that Spotify did acquire a company called Media Chain, which is doing something similar to property rights management on the blockchain.
So something to like the Bujo and stuff.
Yeah, which is really interesting. It actually was a really big win for the community to have validation from one of the major streaming services to say, hey, you know, this blockchain technology might be worth looking into. And I know a lot of us were excited about that. Thought that was really cool. You have a company called Resonate. They are really cool. Hi guys.
Hi. Can we sit there?
Yeah, sure. If you'd like, there might be some chairs in the back over there if you want to go into the conference room. Resonate has a really interesting business model, and they're exploring stream to own. So their logic was, and again, I'm not a representative of the company, so I can't answer questions on their behalf, but it's my understanding that they have that so many millions of songs on Spotify never get listened to, right? We only listen to a very narrow sliver of music, so why are we paying $10 a month for a majority of the music that we'll never listen to? So these guys are like, well, you only pay for what you listen to, and eventually, after so many listens, you actually get to own that song. And they've done some really interesting calculations. If you go to their website, they have like this little graphical slider that says how much money they make artists versus what Spotify does and what other streaming services do with this blockchain technology. And also, Resonate is open source and it's owned by everyone who contributes to the system. So there's no Resonate, I mean, there's the core developers who are creating the platform, but much like Bitcoin, there's no Bitcoin Inc. It's owned and operated by the people who are running the nodes and contributing to the system. And this is kind of a business model that, a distributed business model, if you will.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting idea. I think the barrier is, of course, letting artists know that there are alternatives to Spotify. The problem with the internet, and why a lot of people are saying it's broken, and why a lot of people are like trying to find solutions for the new internet, and why Ethereum poses one of these really interesting solutions, is that the internet now is a walled garden, where by virtue of network effect, on a closed platform, if you have a number of people or enough people that reach that critical mass, exponential growth occurs, and the value of the platform itself is in the number of people that use it. Hence why it's almost next to impossible to launch your own social media app without Facebook buying it up or swallowing it up or eating it. It's next to impossible to compete with Facebook or compete with Google or compete with Spotify. The value of Spotify is in the number of users, the number of listeners.
But the goal, obviously, is to kind of start it at some point. This is probably not like next year where we'll have 1 million songs. But to kind of get in front of a bunch of artists and kind of get all these use cases and kind of start building these applications where there's a lot of value and people will just start using it out of necessity. Well, not necessity, but just like curiosity and reaping those sort of benefits. And then once, you know, you need small crowds just slowly build out. Where we can live in this future where these terms can be defined by the artists rather than having all these other things.
Right.
And it can be for any sort of industry.
Yeah, in the back.
Do you think that artists are capable of defining their own terms? Or
So part of it is like knowing the price, right? Like in capitalism, there's a value, there's a buyer and a seller, and eventually they find the right number, right? Unfortunately, now a lot of that's kind of hidden from you, right? There's all these people in the middle who are like, hands behind the back, all these hands out paying each other. Once people start seeing what the values can be charged, what the values can be extracted out of it, then you would not necessarily just go like, oh, 5 cents. You might just look at the industry and like, oh, what are the prices for my type of music? Is it 2 cents? Is it 4 cents? And you can define it as just like the mean value of what's going on now.
And I think a manager who is savvy would be able to negotiate that on behalf of the artists. I self-manage myself, which isn't always the best. I maintain more control of what I do, but there's also a lot where a manager could still help out in negotiating those terms if they understand the market value and they understand these technologies. So a lot of it is educating the band managers or the band members themselves.
So labels and stuff like that do provide value, but it's just sort of defining what they can do and what they cannot do. And eventually, you can, because everything's transparent, you can see everything, you can define your value as to what everyone is doing at the moment.
Yes, sir.
So it sounds like the stuff you're talking about is sort of a clean slate, whereas some existing things like Music First Coalition, Fair Play, Fair Pay would be to work within the current system.
That's correct, yeah, and I'm glad you brought those things up. I might botch these numbers a little bit, but I think it's something like 48 million songs that are sitting on siloed databases all across the internet right now. And it's projected that in the next 10 years, there's going to be 78 million songs created alone within the next 10 years, given the lower barrier to entry for artists and musicians these days. Not having to have a label to create an amazing piece of work. A computer can do that, and a decently priced microphone. The result is that more people are creating content than ever before, and there's more of a means to share that content than ever before. So I think if you run those numbers, the logic would follow that it makes sense to, well, let them fight amongst the Beatles catalog. Like, yeah, it's wonderful, but we're looking forward into the future. What's the future going to look like? And it gets very messy when you try to take a very broken system and clean it up. It might be worthwhile starting something fresh and thinking about not better, but different models for capturing value. And that's what's really interesting also about Resonate too, is that everyone shares in the profits. You are incentivized to listen to certain music, and you actually earn coins as a result of your activity or participating in the system. So let's think of like a Facebook or something like that, right? Facebook right now collects all this money on advertising, and they're basically analyzing your data and using that data to sell to advertisers, which they then find out a lot about who you are as a person. Well, that, in this case, imagine a Facebook where the advertising dollars funnel back to you as the user, or your actions and your behaviors, your participation in the system, the value that you add that social network can be monetized and captured. And that's really what's interesting about Ethereum is an ecosystem where everyone who participates in the sharing, the listening, the content creation of the music actually benefits from that. And that value can be captured in terms of a specific kind of coin that you could then trade for goods and services.
Additionally, for the old catalog, there's nothing stopping them from putting it on the new platform, because it would also streamline the owner's overhead of management.
But if somebody who's very involved and very famous, like Taylor Swift, if she wanted to hop on board this new system, would she
would go to the process.
train all the people that you worked with beforehand to abandon the old system?
I mean, like right now it's messy because you'd have like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? But I think at some point in the future, it could be possible, just like they're just going to go like, yeah, I'll put my stuff on the news thing. I'll put it on I'll put it on Resonate. And in order to put it in Resonate, they have to kind of go to the copyright to find all these sort of terms. And now it's on Resonate, right? They don't have to do very much. If they have 20 people managing all that stuff, they can only need 4 now.